Welcome back to the Crypto Ski Conversation. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at some Ripple versus SEC stuff, definitely some XRP and Ripple stuff, content in general, starting with this one with Johnny Deaton on making money with Charles Payne. We're going to take a look at some other clips here pertinent to Ripple and XRP and kind of what their use case and utility is and what they're trying to do in solving a real world problem. So we're going to quickly jump into CoinGecko here so we can get into the content. We're currently sitting at $949 billion here in market cap. We're sitting at down 2.8% for the day. Bitcoin sitting at 20,307. Ethereum sitting at 1,143. If we come down to XRP sitting at 33 cents, almost 34 cents. If we look at the 24-hour gainer, USTC, so Terra Classic USD is currently up 108%, 1 inch 15%, BitTorrent 9.1%, and so on. So not much going on there. Currently sitting at 13 here on the Bitcoin Fear and Greed Index. We were just at 10 yesterday. We're going to have another number here that's going to show up in 22 hours, 25 minutes. But as you know, following this channel and following the market, we've been in single digits. We've seen it as low as 6, and I keep bringing this up, and I want to show it here. Where was it at? Yeah, we were as low as, there it is right there. June 19th, 2022, we were as low as 6, and that's the lowest I've seen it. So obviously there's a lot of market uncertainty of kind of what's going on and what lies ahead. A lot of blood that's been in the streets, and obviously the people that's been around like myself for 4+, 5+ years know that this is the ebbs and flows of the market, especially with regulations, government getting more involved, adoption, the rate of adoption and growth happening, a lot of negativity going out there, geopolitical stuff, macro stuff. There's a lot of different narratives going on that has truly not only affected our market but other markets alike. So this is I guess this is par for the course, as they say, just kind of the ebbs and flows of our crypto market cycle, knowing how highly speculative it is and knowing how early we are in regards of the maturity within the market, especially being under a $1 trillion market cap is super early. And they compare this to the rate of adoption and users in general with the internet. So we're super early. If you zoom out, obviously being in it right now is painful. My portfolio's been decimated as well, but I truly have high conviction on kind of what the future has in store for us in regards to where this market's going to go. Moving on here, we're going to start with this one. This is Willy Wonka XRP. I put this up, but this is Johnny Deaton on with Charles Payne on making money. It's a great little almost 5-minute clip, so we're going to take a listen in on what he has to say.
All right, to say we've hit a rough patch for crypto investors would be an understatement. However, it's got the doubters and naysayers circling like sharks as each day seems to bring more questions and even more bad news. Now, many are saying, hey, listen, this is just part of the curve. It's only natural when you have something like this, something revolutionary like this. But there are still some issues, including legal issues, that feel like a whirlwind. Not sure just yet. Joining me now, law founder, John Dent, and I want to start with the SEC chair. Yesterday or this week, Gary Gensler, he made some comments, and some aren't sure where he's putting Bitcoin, for instance. Did he say Bitcoin was a commodity? Is it a security? And where does that leave the rest of these cryptos?
Well, Charles, thank you for having me. Yeah. Gary Gensler came out and finally, after a year, said that Bitcoin is a commodity, but it took him a year to do it. And he didn't comment on any of the other cryptocurrencies. And there's a specific reason for that. He prefers there to be vagueness and regulatory uncertainty, because when there's regulatory uncertainty, it allows him prosecutorial options, right? Because
that gray area.
That gray area.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I'm on the securities side.
Before Charles goes in and says we have to say, Johnny Deaton covers it right here. So he's saying, this from Bitcoin Magazine. It says, just in, SEC Chair Gensler said Bitcoin is the only cryptocurrency that is a commodity. And Johnny Deaton chimes in and says, that's not what he said. He said Bitcoin is the only one he is willing to say outright isn't a security. But he's absolutely wrong. A court decides what is or isn't a security, not a career bureaucrat hack. Cowboy Crypto says, fact. And I say, facts. So let's continue on with this.
Believe me, when I first got into business, I found out about the gray area the hard way, because they're, particularly small, young, and, and coming into the business, you start a business, and the Wall Street side, there's no, like you said, there's no clear lanes, but they do this deliberately. You think they deliberately leave these gray areas?
Oh, absolutely, because if you provide guidelines, what do entrepreneurs and companies do, Charles? They meet those guidelines. When you keep it uncertain, it gives you options for him to continue to engage in regulation by an enforcement, right? That's how he's doing it. I went on record to say that, to predict that he's going to sue an exchange or two by the end of this year and claim that they're selling unregistered securities other than Bitcoin, but he won't tell you which ones are securities.
Right.
You know, that's the problem.
Right. And it's hard to be ignorant of a law that if the law doesn't exist.
Exactly.
Like,
absolutely.
It's one thing to say, okay, I didn't know, and it was on the books, but it's really despicable.
It's disgusting,
really,
is what it is. He keeps going on record to saying these exchanges are selling securities. And then you ask, well, which ones? And he won't say, because now we know from his comment that you just asked me about, he's going to go with they're all securities except for Bitcoin, which makes this Ripple XRP case extremely important.
I want to get to that in a minute,
Absolutely.
but let me just ask about all of the, seemingly endless bad news.
Yep.
Some are saying, hey, you know what, this is a wild, wild west kind of thing. The opportunities are crazy, but, they're there, and this is almost to be expected in a way it could be a good thing if we get something out of it, maybe guardrails, maybe some regulations. What do you think?
Well, I think that the house of cards are kind of crashing in because you have some of these companies.
I don't mean to stop it here, but just really pay attention to what he just said. He was just talking about how he won't specify on what digital assets in those exchanges that he's talking about, which ones are securities. And he wants to leave that vagueness or gray area so they can pretty much say everything that isn't Bitcoin are securities, meaning they're all securities. So he was just saying that's why the Ripple case is most important. And that's what we talk about. This case truly setting precedents. The people that are hating against the XRP community, that hate Ripple, that hate XRP, it makes no sense why we have that divide. Understanding how big of an impact that this case has. If Ripple loses to the SEC, whether it goes the distance or whatever cases, or there's some bad, I doubt there will be any bad settlement in regards of Ripple, because they seem to have like the most high, I guess, greatest position of power within this case based on the evidence that's been presented. But it's like, if Ripple loses this case, I mean, say bye-bye to most of the entire market. They're going to, who's going to be able to utilize the information and the deliberation that comes out of this case to strengthen their position once the SEC starts attacking them? That's pretty much what he's trying to say here. So, yeah, it's crazy that this is a reality.
They have a business model of crypto lending with using highly leveraged strategies, and they offer these 20% or higher leveraged applications, and they can't meet them. And when you get into an illiquid environment like we have today with raising interest rates, liquidity dries up and the house comes crashing down. And I think that eventually will clean the house.
So where is the Ripple case right now?
Well, the Ripple XRP case, and I'm glad you asked because it's something I'm passionate about. Today, and I want to make sure I get the number right. Today, Charles, we hit 68,250 people from 61 different countries around the world that have joined to fight the SEC in their overreach and government intrusion. And I want to tell you something. There's a couple thousand of them that don't even own XRP. They just feel like you do. It's disgusting of what's happening.
Right. And by the way, I did see last time, the last time there was anything from the courts that the CEO of Ripple said it had gone, quote, exceedingly well. The notion that so many people want to see this succeed, again, whether you're an investor or not, I think speaks to the idea of freedom, of innovation, of self-determination. And there are a lot of powerful forces out there that don't want to see that happen.
Absolutely. And what I think what's happening is that cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin, it's one of the few times in history where the individual kind of front run the industry, if you will, and the hedge funds. And personally, I think that Gensler's attack on crypto is to allow the hedge funds and the Wall Streeters to come in, crash the market. They come in and then
By the way,
promote it.
they do that with the stock market all the time, all the time. By the way, did you see a guy from Citadel left Citadel to get in the crypto business?
Of course.
Yeah.
The regulators leave and go into crypto too.
All right, John, you're doing a great job. Really, so many people look up to you, and I appreciate you coming on the show.
Thank you.
So clearly, Johnny D, hats off to him. I literally consider him one of the GOATs of this entire space, this entire crypto industry, and he's good at what he does. He does it very well. And for him to, step out of his lane in regards of, the law or the law he practices and in his practice to, see that there was a need and that there was wrongdoing in regards to what's happening here, and to step up and, front run and lead this decentralized community and to bring the fight to the SEC, to fight the good fight, is absolutely honorable. It's admirable. I mean, it's amazing. So I want to thank, Johnny Deaton for all the great work that he puts in, and everybody that's involved, sending out information, starting YouTube channels, putting stuff out in these Twitter tweet threads and Twitter, and just getting involved as much as possible. But 268,250 people a part of this class action lawsuit. That's a massive milestone. I remember this thing was at like 3,000 at one point. Now look at it. It's crazy. And the crazy thing is, it's like our current SEC chairman, no one's has even took the time or day to even reach out or respond to any of the stuff that, to respond to any of us, which is absolutely astonishing. Like, this is absolutely happening within the United States. It's crazy. But this is the SEC that's there with taxpayer dollars to set out to protect so-called us investors, but they can't even respond to this class action lawsuit. They can't even respond to us, which is crazy. He brought up a good point though, and you know how I feel. If you've been following this channel, you know how I feel about some of how like the laws and verbiage are in regards of what you can and can't invest in as a so-called retail investor if you're not accredited, which is crazy. But he was talking about how it's not normal when you see the individuals front running or being ahead of, the hedge funds and whatnot, the powers that be. And that's the truth. It's like, you have to really pat yourself on the back that first of all, you've taken the time, energy to educate yourself on the space. You've taken the risk to invest into this highly speculative market. You've done that, and you've been here, and you've had high conviction on this space way before these hedge funds and these powers that be in the industry have been here. And now you have government officials, bad actors, their groups and their buddies. They're trying to get all the banks and all their Wall Street brothers and sisters all involved. They're trying to slow this thing down, or as they say, once they miss the ship or the boat, they turn the boat around. But if we miss it, then they just keep it pushing. The thing is though, just like how he says, they're going to do everything in their power to try to make sure they slow this thing down enough to morph it and, mold it and build it into something that they can get, their, I'm going to just say moles, but to get their people involved and get them plugged into the industry so they can still have a stranglehold on the money and the wealth, the generational wealth. But we're here. So for myself, for my wife, and our investment stuff, we're going to have high conviction. We're going to continue to hold because we truly believe and we see the writing on the wall when it comes to the crypto market, especially the assets, especially XRP, and people that are able to invest in Ripple or not. Like, we see where this thing's going. We see where this is headed. It's absolutely crazy. This is I wanted to thank Charles Payne and Johnny Deaton. This was a great segment here. Moving on here. This is from Nerd Nation Unboxed Wheezy X. It says, ironic because this is exactly what you at Coin Center and the folks at Ethereum Consensus did when you ran to mommy and daddy at the SEC Gov. So it's funny you say that now. Hashtag ETHgate. Let's take a listen into this really quick.
A lot of those people, I think, are working on rival technologies and see a way to rent seek from the government by sicking the government on their competition, which is really kind of childish if you think about it. It's like two kids that are supposed to share a toy in the sandbox, and then one goes to mommy or daddy and says, he's not sharing, and mommy and daddy comes over and takes the toy away from the other kid, even though they might have been doing nothing wrong, and gives it to the kid as a tattletale. It's like, this is not the way that innovation should work, running to the government for relief in an anti-competitive.
Yep. Okay, so long story short, I just told you, like, I have high conviction on this space. I have high conviction on the assets that I've done my research on, and I just kind of chose to have faith in the the builders, the people behind it, CEOs, the company, the technology, the utility. So those are the assets that I've invested in, and I've made some poor investments before. That's been either rug pulled, wiped out, don't exist, didn't make it past the last bear market, whatever the case is. But I've had some solid ones in my long-term holds, XRP being one of them, one of my biggest holdings. I've been accumulating since late 2017 all the way up until this point. Even through all the ebbs and flows, I've watched my portfolio go up nice and big to come down back to almost my initial DCA, which is I'm totally okay with. I've been in this long enough to know how this market works for the most part. But this video right here, whenever I'm talking to guys that I train with at the gym or I play basketball with, and they're talking about different investment stuff, whether it's real estate, crypto, the regular stock market, whatever the case is, we all have conversations about different things. And whenever I tell them about XRP, they have XRP and Ripple and kind of what the use case utility is, what they're trying to solve and all that stuff, I tend to try to, point them towards videos and documents and references, whether it's from Brad Garlinghouse or other members within Ripple. I try to point them to stuff like this because this is literally what it's about right here. And this is why I'm so excited about what the future lies ahead for this thing. So let's take a listen into this.
What is the next move, on Ripple's roadmap, in your opinion? To put you on the spot here.
No, it's very simple. So I think one thing, if there is one message that you can get in this room is Ripple is not an ordinary company. We are not here to have a small market share or do X, do Y, and make small amount of money or something to happen. We are here to make a dent in the universe. Either we will change the remittance universe, the way you understand, the way value gets transferred across the world, between people, between institutions, or we will just fade away. So it's almost 0 or 1, and some of it comes from our Silicon Valley arrogance. Some of it comes from, that's the reason 6 years ago, we were born with the mission of moving money like information moves today, right? And we are making it possible working with the existing ecosystem. So I think this is a key differentiator about Ripple, and that's the reason we are a monoline company. Every day we get tens of ideas to say, why don't you do security settlement? Why don't you work in trade finance? Why don't you do X, Y, Z? And what we tell them is, just cross-border remittances is $155 trillion problem. We'll solve this first. We'll make a difference to everybody who's present in this room. And once we have made the difference, then only we will look at something else. So we are like, Google is for search, Ripple is for remittance.
What is the next?
So that's what I wanted to hit right there. Obviously, make a dent in the universe. That is so powerful. They're trying to solve a real world problem. Their utility and use case is massive. So think about it like this. I remember when I'm a 90s baby, early 90s baby. So I've kind of got the experience of the transition of, computers and all that different stuff. And I was still, brought up to use a dictionary to research stuff and utilize, other books or hard things to get information from. And then there was the internet that was kind of transitioning in pretty heavily through my upbringing. So I kind of had the best of both worlds. But you got to vision it like this. He was talking about how they want to have the ability to have money move the way you move information, right? So just imagine this. Imagine having to utilize, say that you want to spell a certain word, you want to know what a certain word is. Typically we just go to our iPhones, our smartphones, whatever. You can either type it into your text messages, or you can even go on the internet and search it, and you can get the enunciations, how the word sounds, how it's spelled, what it is, alternative. You get all this information that pops up like this. Or, obviously you can go back to, a dictionary or whatever and, learn how to, I don't even know if a lot of people nowadays know how to even search through a dictionary, but you can go in and search through a dictionary and try to find that information. But that's pretty much what they're trying to say. They reference Google. So it's earlier in the internet age, it was almost problematic. AOL dial-up, trying to get information and do all these different things. It took a long time. The information wasn't there, or it was a pain in the butt to get it. Slow connection, the connection dropped. There were so many different things that was happening. Well, you can easily I'm just not even going to deal with the internet. I'm not even going to deal with this computer. I'm just going to grab this dictionary and I'm just going to search it, right? And that was fast, right? That was a thing. But then now we transition into the internet, the true internet age, the full adoption, the smartphones and all this stuff, right? And now we don't even think to even pick up a book, a dictionary or whatever to look up something, look up a piece of information. We just go on Google right now and get pages and pages of just different references of information that we're looking for, which is absolutely convenient. So that's what they're saying about this money stuff. It's let's solve this $155 trillion problem first. Let's focus on that. So money can be moved around like information is passed around. That is so powerful. And that's why I send this stuff, and I talk a lot about this to a lot of my buddies that I'm around at the gym and stuff whenever we're having those conversations. And that's why I'm super excited about one of my main and primary investments in XRP, because I see the writing on the wall and I see why it's of extreme value, especially with even in general, this space being so early. We're literally still at the ground level, which is absolutely crazy. Just in yesterday's video, we were just covering a chart from Wells Fargo. They did some research and they were kind of comparing the adoption or the user adoption rate of crypto versus the ages of the internet. And we're still just at the very bottom of this so-called S-curve. It's absolutely crazy, but I am so excited about it. Even amongst all this market uncertainty, this extreme fear, as they say, blood in the streets. Man, I just literally just put in another limit order for a couple different assets that I wanted to accumulate. So that's just how I view it. I'm not panicking. I have high conviction on what I'm invested in. I'm going to continue to accumulate what I can accumulate. I know that was a lot, but I wanted to share that stuff. I'm really excited about this space. And I know times are tough for a lot of people out there. They're tough for me right now, especially to see my portfolio where it's at. But this is just a phase of the ebbs and flows of the market. I want you to subscribe to Crypto's Key. We're going to continue to provide great information, update you on kind of what's going on within the crypto community, especially when it comes to the Ripple versus SEC stuff, XRP stuff, and so on. We're going to continue to have these conversations because I think they're important. Follow us at Crypto's Key 1 on Twitter as well. We're going to continue to grow these accounts. We're really excited what the future holds for us here. With all that being said, stay strong out there and be safe.